Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion and welcome to the second video of today, and that is the Guardian Games video. Now I'm going to start from basic to the end, basically start how it works for anyone who hasn't played the game before, and after that I'm going to describe what has changed a little bit for this year, and then at that point then I'm going to give you a few tips going about it. That is just generally the end game stuff. So on the front page, Guardian Games, it does as the usual, and that is when you spawn in at the tower, you talk to A. Levante, and she'll give you a starter quest. Like always, she gives you an item that's specific to the event that you'll have to wear, and I will specify where the item that you get, the class item mark that will be for your respective class, wear it at any point during this event if you want to participate at all. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Literally take it off, you won't get anything else, but if you want to continue participating in the event, especially passively, wear it when you can. Might break a build or two, but that's something that we will just have to sacrifice. Now, you'll talk to A. Levante, and she'll basically tell you to put it on, and then she'll give you some glimmer. She will then tell you to buy pretty much just one of the... Well, I already claimed this, but I'm going to claim it again. Oh, that's infinite. Okay, ignoring that. But she'll basically tell you to claim one of these bounties. But at that point, it's going to give you a random, basically, playlist or activity-style based bounty that, at least in this case, I picked Nightfall, which, of course, you don't have to. You can pick literally anything for at least the entrance, and at that point, you just collect that, and then you basically get an objective that says either complete a pretty much basic recreation playlist, or I believe a Nightfall also counts, but pretty much any of the four events right here that are Guardian Game specific, I believe you can participate in any one of them. At that point, you're pretty much done with the entrance. You will be prompted to, or you will be then given a medallion case, which is kind of where the whole event strives around, which after that you will be told to bank in the platforms like this Warlock just did. That is going to be the essential turn in rewards button, as every time you bank, depending on the rarity or at least the quality of a medallion that you banked, will give you a variety of different things. Of course, lowest being bronze, which will occasionally give you stuff, and platinum and diamond, I believe, are the highest two, will give you pretty much the exact opposite, almost always something good. As well as a possibility of getting the Heir Apparent Catalyst from these. I'm not sure about Heir Apparent itself, though. It's been ages since I've done it, and it used to be a lot harder. But I digress. From that point, you are pretty much done. You'll talk to one or two vendors in the tower, which then will give you the next parts. But at that point, then you get the drop in, which is basically access to the All-Star Vector Permanent. I will tell you, that does give you one that you can use during Guardian Games for free. This, however, expires at the end of Guardian Games. You have to then do this quest if you want to do it post-Guardian Games. Now, it pretty much runs as any event, as there are bounties that are general, in addition to the specific to the event, and as always, there are event challenges that are currently available. Now, one way that things did get shapen up is the addition of pretty much diamond cards, which I believe is going to have more when Trials is active, or specifically Iron Banner, but there is three different ones. There's Endgame PvP, which I imagine will be raids, as well as currently a Twitch drop thing that if you link your Bungie ID and then watch various Destiny 2 streamers on Twitch for a bit, you can actually earn one. Now, keep in mind, these are only once per week, if I recall, because they're actually quite bountiful in terms of the rewards, but that is pretty much one of the only things that has changed in terms of Guardian Games this year, aside from the addition of course, the new Hullabaloo Arc Waveframe Heavy Grenade Launcher, which jury's still out on whether or not it's going to be worth it, as well as a new Guardian Games Memento, which, if you want to see what it looks like, I just gotta scroll through and see if I can find where they be. There we go. Champion Keepsake, which it's kind of basically New Monarchy shader, but there's a little bit of blue, and it's kind of hard to tell if there's any live effect. There's a little bit of a live effect, but it basically is a memento that looks like a more shiny version of any of the Guardian games. Red, white, blue combinations or whatever they were. But I digress. So that's pretty much everything that's new from it. Now, like I mentioned, you will visit Zavala and Shaxx, and they will also give you two other quests. That is how you participate in this event. And that is pretty much the shoot to score and vying for supremacy. Basically, one is for the Nightfall games, where you have to get a higher score to achieve certain thresholds as listed at the bottom of the card there. Same thing for Supremacy, though. It's just not so much as high scores, just playing a lot of Supremacy and eventually building up a cumulative score between your games. Now, how it works is essentially, like I said, either play Nightfalls and get higher scores crossing specific thresholds, or play enough Crucible to collect enough score. And at that point, each of these podiums ahead will then become claimable, and you can actually claim some extra loot that at each threshold does get better. I'm not sure if it's the same this year, but at least last year, towards the higher ends of gold and platinum, they were giving double pre-masterworked weapons, which is pretty dang good considering that's like 14 cores, in addition to already giving you, I think, an additional 7 cores at the same time. Now, some tips for Guardian games going about. So obviously there is the Recreations playlist, which is basically chill, you're participating but not doing much. These give you bronze medallions, and when you finish this specific contender card in association with this one, you get a gold medallion, which is essentially bottom tier and mid tier, literally considering there is 5 tiers being obviously bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Now, like I said, diamond is limited, so that can be done once or twice per week, depending on what you do. But then at that point, you can't get any more, so you have to go farming elsewhere. Now, in terms of quality farming, I would say if you're a more chill PvE person, just keep going through the Nightfall. There will be something specific. I think in this case, it will be the Glassway. I forget if these rotate on the daily. I think they did last time, but like I said, hard to remember. I didn't play it that much. But it's basically a variety on the Nightfall that isn't in conjunction with current active Nightfalls, because it's currently the Hypernet current. This one is the Glassway. Now, this is the one that I would say farm out if you would rather have quality over quantity, because every complete gives you a silver medal, and every contender card that I believe can be done once per run is a platinum card, which is generally second to bottom, but then next to top in terms of their rarity. Now, in terms of farming this out, I would say do this. Anything bigger than a red bar, which is basically yellow bar, boss bar, champion, anything that is capable of finishing. Do the traditional stat where, sure, you can just lay out as usual, farm orbs and everything, but anything that can be finished that is above a yellow bar or is yellow bar or higher, emote before finishing and then hit it. It is literally free points, and it is the best way to farm it out. That is the simplest way to just get free score without going balls to the wall on speedruns, which in conjecture, I would also say is the good way to complete the shoot to score. Actually, no, this one, which is the All-Star Vector, because sure, you could just bank a bunch of medallions and get a good score, or you could just do the easy one for earning a top 10% score in Nightfall, which I do believe is going to account for the community, so it's going to be hard in a weird way, but I think eventually that'll be done. Of course, you can just do that over time. So, aside from that, in the same respect for Supremacy, there is no real way to farm that one, as in the same aspect, Basic Crucible, it functions the same way. Its contender card will be gold when finishing, its average activity will be bronze. When Trials of Iron Banner is active, which I forget if Iron Banner can be active when this event is going, but if you're playing Trials, I imagine every round end would be a silver. Similarly, obviously, Trials would be a platinum card. So from that point, that is again a quality over quantity. If you're doing nothing but brain dead farming for this, I would say either do Nightfalls and do the emote finisher point farm, or otherwise just play Trials and, do the event. From that point, there isn't much else to Guardian games, which, as always, there is a companion seal, as well as challenges and cards. So the current challenges for the event that give all the event tickets, if you are curious about the event card, basically silver for banking medallions at the podium in the tower to contribute points towards your class standing. Higher ranked medallions contributing more, and this goes from bronze, silver to gold, as well as platinum. This is a multi-part thing that's basically the same thing up until the very end, giving a variety of rewards, including forget what that's called. Emblem? I think that's, man, my brain is blanking. But yeah, it gives you an emblem as well as enhancement cores, and also this does give medallions along the way. So if you have anything that you want, or if you want to spare it out, there's some good things here. Then as well, reward codes, which I think is going to be something Bungie Rewards related in case you wanted to buy something Guardian Games related, as well as Medal Mania for earning Vanguard medals. Then you also have In the Cards, which is completing Contender, and Platinum cards, which can be obtained from Ava. Those were the ones I mentioned before that can be for basic activities or Platinum. Contender cards and Platinum cards are the two different things. Basically, think Contender Strikes, Platinum Nightfall. And you also have Elements of Victory for basically just using any element that isn't kinetic and defeating enemies, abilities, or weapons. And then it starts to get to the annoying ones where you have to defeat targets in Supremacy matches or the Guardian Games playlist, and then Friendly Rivalry for completing Crucible, Gambit, or Supremacy matches. Again, Force Crucible. Then also Class Pride for completing Supremacy or Guardian Games playlist activities with class matchmaking enabled or participate in focus activities. And then there's also the World Championship Tour for completing activities on destinations such as Blind Wells, Altar of Sorrow, Empire Hunts, Wellspring, Partitions, and Terminal Overload. Basically, any events that spawn on individual planets that is unique to those planets. And then, lastly, we have Circuit Training, which is completing Dares of Eternity, Vanguard Ops, playlist activities, or seasonal activities. I did one strike, and that gave it 12%, so I think that's going to go quite quickly. Then you also have Crest Collector for earning points in Supremacy by picking up crests. Obviously, you have to play Supremacy in order to get that. And you also have Up for the Challenge, which is completing Guardian Games Ops Nightfall, which is specific Guardian Games Nightfalls, not general Nightfalls, I mind you. And then, of course, there is Champ, which is, at that point, the end, which if you're doing all of these and you haven't earned it before, you would then earn the Champ title. Now, I have already earned it, so that's why it looks that way, which grants me access to immediate gilding, which if you don't know what that means, basically, you have to do these to further earn it, which for the gilding triumphs, it is bank medallions at the podium in the tower to contribute points towards your class, higher ranking medallions. Basically, bank a lot of medallions. This is going to go the long haul. There's also Grand Slam for earning the Platinum score threshold in the Nightfall playlist, and Record Setter for completing Platinum Contender cards purchased from Ava, and Hall of Fame, complete a Guardian Games Nightfall without dying, also complete a match of Supremacy with a score of at least 30. Basically, do really good in Nightfall, and do good enough in Supremacy. And I was about to get hopeful that I could gild it without ever having to touch Crucible, but then they crushed my hopes at the very last second, and make me basically just not want to participate in this event at all. And then, as always, there is the event card, which if you want to buy it, you can. Don't need to, but it gives you a few things. If you buy it, you instantly unlock a Fighting Colors shader, which, not gonna lie, not half bad. It looks pretty solid. Don't know if it's worth the extra money, though. As well as the Torpedo Sparrow, which, man, that looks like a torpedo if it was made by Apple. As well as the Perfect Putt emote, which they've already had a few golfing emotes, which, if this is actually putting and doing it right, yep, I suppose, yep, that's certainly an emote of all time. And down the line, you also get access to a few other things, including the Capped Shell, which is basically a baseball cap wearing baseball ghost, and the Huate Turn, I'm not even sure if I said that right, but basically a ballerina. And then there's the Proud Sigil, which I believe will be a transmat reflecting either just Titans or your specific class, hard to say. And lastly, there is a Ghost Projection that is basically the Guardian Games belt. Now, as always, before I get into the cosmetics available with this, there is also a few things that change post-Guardian Games. Basically, whoever wins will have a statue here commemorating that. And, of course, the class items will stay the respective color for whoever wins and whatever place they take. And I pray to God they forget this, just because if they update it and Hunters win and they skip Titans, I'm going to be salty. But if you didn't know, Heir Apparent, which is the associate weapon that is released with this game and is only available this time of the year. Let's see. Where did it go? Where did it go? Right here. Heir Apparent has something that is reflected typically, and there is a medal on the side that is also reflective of who won the year. It was Titans last year, but they didn't update, and it was Warlock almost all year. But now the Guardian Games is here, it is gone, which makes me think they are going to update it, basically stiffing out my Titan gun, not looking like a Titan gun. But I digress. That is pretty much the summation of everything Guardian Games related that isn't related to the cosmetics. Now, I shall get into that in just a moment, but I shall also specify, like I did in my Eververse video, all of the cosmetics that are in this tab, or anything that is that has the Guardian Games logo, specifically, it's hard to say, but that the very top right of that right there, if it's an item that has the Guardian Games logo, It is limited time, only available during the Guardian Games. So when it disappears at the end of Guardian Games, if you didn't pick it up, you won't be able to pick it up once the event, or until the event comes around all the way around. Now, I'm going to cover a few of the things right off the bat that is new, or at least that I can tell is new. It seems like they did kind of coordinate a little bit. But for some of the new things, we have, of course, class-respected looks that are specific. Now, I'm not going to lie. They did a lot better than I expected them to, because it not only looks like it's repping classes, but it also still looks like armor, as opposed to looking like a tracksuit that had some polycarbon fiber. But from that respect, I of course will show right now the full view of all the 3 classes that have the variety of armor, just so you can see in perspective what they look like, which, as usual with these events, they are available for either 1,500 silver, aka $15 US if you need a comparison, as well as 6,000 bright dust, which, yeah, I had that much once upon a time during Halloween, but I haven't been playing much, so I don't have as much anymore. If you've been consistently playing, you might be able to get 2 of these for free, and might only be able to buy 1, but at the same respect, you might not like all of them anyways, you might not even buy them. Then there is, of course, the King of the Ring bundle, which is a few things associated with the thing right off. We have the richly caparison, something like that. Championship Advantage, which is an interesting looking one to say the least, as well as the Tasseled Shell, which, like the rest of them, it just kind of looks like Guardian Games, but also Egyptian, almost. But on that same respect, we have a few things right off the bat. We have a finisher that is new to this year, which is Served, basically spiking either a grenade or a mode of light into your enemy, which doesn't look half bad, but it's pretty basic. And we also have the Exercise Cycle, where you are on a stationary bike, also moving some weights, which is certainly, again, an emote of all time, which awkwardly ends as most of them do. And you also have the Toy Hula Hoop emote, which is, of course, what you'd expect, also awkwardly ending. And we also have the Touchdown Dance, which, like you can imagine, is a touchdown dance of all time, that also awkwardly ends. And, of course, there is some more blue rarity emotes that always come out. And getting into some things, let's see, we already looked at that. We also have the Parabellum 4, which is currently available in the store, might I add, which, again, interestingly named, considering Parabellum, it means if you want, or prepare for war, if I recall. And then we also have the Classy Shell, also available in the store currently for Bright Dust, if you would like to take a look. As well, let's see, Richly Caprioson, and then I'm just going to try and say this, Bucephalus, which is basically a sparrow to mark Parabellum 4, and Comparison, which is a little more multi-classing without looking so heinous. And then, of course, there is Transmats and Projections. Now, as I go through the rest of here, I'm just going to breeze by this. The most of everything else here is from previous years of Guardian Games, which is all emotes, finishers, armor bundles, the like, all from previous years, going all the way back. Let's see. Enduring Conquer right here was last year, and then the year before that, the year before that, and the year before that. So, of course, like I said, there is various shaders, finishers, and or not shaders, they kind of just show up at random, but lots of different stuff that is in the store. Emotes, sparrows, ghost shells, lots of variety here that, if you want to know when they came out, typically the respective armor set from the year will also launch, which will kind of be able to say older or not. But yeah, if you want anything, including any of the ornaments, transmats, or the variety, I'd recommend getting them as soon as possible. And also, if you want to wait out for the Bright Dust store, there is a chance that a lot of the new stuff might come by and a few key items of the old stuff. So if you want, again, if you want to wait out for it, go ahead and wait. But at the same time, there is a chance you might miss it. With that, that is pretty much the comprehensive Guardian Games guide I am going to partake upon you. Now, once again, I mentioned in my other video, typically this seems quite rigged, as it literally went Titan, Hunter, and Warlock through the year, and immediately won Titan, and already Hunters right off the bat are winning. So either Bungie, again, messed up the population balancing, or they just decided that Hunters are going to win again, and we're just going to repeat the cycle. With that, my name is the Mad Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.